watch it, man. Yeah. But I remember you guys at the Ringos, you were too busy swearing to cry. Because I remember when you guys won the award, I heard you guys say, yeah. You yelled real loud, and I looked at Franco and said, those guys right there.
Yeah.
That's why those guys win. And so that was cool.
That was me. I said, what the fuck? That's what I said. That was with my exact word.
Yeah. That was cool.
I love that. I actually said to Art, because we had a conversation sometime before the awards, and he goes, well, what do you think? I said, I don't know. Like, it's, you never know with these things. I said, but you know what? If I don't win, I want those Metal Shark Bro guys to win.
That's very sweet of it.
I thought the mom book was gonna win just because I don't know what it's about, but just something called Mom. I'm like, how can that not win?
Fair.
But I had but that's what I was thinking.
Well,
it was like I had no idea what was gonna happen.
I told a story to Kevin and to his name escapes me at the moment. Kevin, what was his name? David? Was that the guy? The liaison for the show? Was it David?
We'll go with Dave.
Something like a really nice guy. His name escapes me at the moment, but
Randy.
Randy.
Yeah, that's right.
I was trying to remember.
It was Randy. So like I told this story to Kevin and to David and to Randy. I told it to everybody. My daughter was like, I can't believe you guys got nominated for a Ringo Award. That's so amazing. Who else has been nominated? Anybody I know? And I was like, well, the Tiny Titans guys got nominated. And she looked at me with the saddest look on her face. She said, I'm sorry, Daddy, you guys are going to win. And I was like, you're fucking best. Like, she just totally just like, you got no shot against those dudes. They're really talented. You guys are hacks. But we showed her all right.
I said, she knows what's up. But that was that Saturday at the table. Bobby goes, you think we got a chance of winning this? I was like, no chance in hell. It's the guy who wrote the Flintstones and the Tiny Titans guys and us. Like,
yeah.
And
I love that you guys won just to spite a little girl. I love that.
I mean, you have to find motivation wherever it comes, Franco. Like it has to come from somewhere. And my motivation to win that award was to shut up my dumb kid. I'll show you, kid.
I bet breakfast the next morning is like, eat your waffles. There you go.
Oh no!
Sure, award-winning waffles.
There have been moments at the dinner table where I've made a joke that no one's laughed, and I've been like, "I'm an award-winning comic book writer," and I'll tell my kid, "Go get the award. Go get it," and they'll just bring it in. There it is. Look, I validation
for humor publication.
I'm funny. Laugh at our jokes.
Like Owen Hart with the slammy, you make him go get it.
That's right.
You guys, seriously though, like the stuff that you guys do with comics is so much fun. Like it's just such a wonderful just medium that you guys have turned this thing into. And I'm sure you hear people like me all the time coming up to you at shows and be like, you guys are so wonderful. You're so important to my family. Like, how does that make you feel, like to hear that probably once a week, to get fan mail and people telling you how wonderful you are and how you bring families together? Like, that's got to be the best feeling in the whole wide world.
It does not suck.
Yeah. Yeah, it is cool. It's cool. And the weird part about it is I don't feel that. Like, I just feel like I'm just a regular guy. I feel like the guy still going to a Comic-Con in 1991, 92, setting up a table trying to sell his books. I feel the same. So when people say they grew up reading and their kids, we're meeting kids now that are in college who grew up reading Tiny Titans. As I read these as a kid, and now they're all young adults. So it's cool, and it never get used to it. It never gets old. It's kind of awesome every time, and I feel like I love it when we get invited to shows, and just the respect from the show coordinators and the people running the show, and like they ask me like, you need a sandwich, Mr. Baltazar? You need a refill of your coffee or whatever? And I'm like, sure. And it's really strange. Like people do things and people get stuff, and we
stay grounded because I tell my wife that I've won these awards, and she's like, that's nice. Take out the trash. We stay grounded. Yeah, we stay grounded.
Mm-hmm. That's wonderful.
Yeah, it feels regular. I'm still dad at home, and it's funny when the kids realize, that somebody recognizes their dad, or me and my son will walk into a random comic shop and look around, and I'll ask him about stuff. And most of the time, a lot of times they don't know who I am, or they look at me and recognize me, especially if they go to conventions, especially if a comic show in Chicago. And then they freak out when they realize who I am. And then on the way back to the car, my son will say like, man, that guy freaked out when he finally met you. I was like, yeah, it was weird, but yeah, it was kind of cool. But
now, how old are your kids, if you don't mind me asking?
mine are 16, 18, and 35.
Holy smokes. Okay. That's a wide range right there.
Mm-hmm.
All right.
My son is 22, going on 23.
Okay, that's pretty amazing. That's cool. You guys, wow, 35? Baltazar?
Yeah,
that's
there's
nuts.
a man in my house. Yeah.
And he still lives with you?
Mm-hmm.
Now, has he had that moment of like, I'm gonna beat up my old man kind of moment yet? Has he challenged you about taking out the garbage or anything?
Nah, he knows better. He does things. He shovels snow because I'm too old and I can't be doing all kinds of stuff. But he does things, and he's an actor, a dancer, model. He does all kinds of creative things, and photographer. And then my other guy is my 18-year-old's in college studying to be a science professor, and my daughter is high school sophomore. So they're all doing things. My daughter plays piano, and everyone's creative. And my middle son he draws, and I'm really it's really cool that everyone in the house took some kind of arts. They're dancing, performing, music, and drawing and painting, and it's kind of cool. I don't know where they get it, when it's probably,
you have no idea.
Yeah, probably because dad's always home in his pajamas drawing stuff. Yeah.
Part of the reason why I wanted to have you guys on was because you guys were so nice to us at Baltimore, and Bob, like he said, I told you when I met with you guys, I said Bob is gonna die because he loves you guys, and like my son read Tiny Titans, but he wasn't as into it as Sophie was. But they're more into like the Gilbert books and things like that you guys do. You guys do so much stuff. So like one of the questions that I asked you guys at the show is like, when you're writing funny stuff, like how hard is it for you? Like how does that work? Because people ask us how we write together all the time, and I think it's important to like have people who want to make comics know how to do this stuff.
We just write. We write. I think whatever comes naturally. We don't really try to write. We just write what we think is funny. Like we were just writing something a few days ago, last week or so, and we haven't written together a lot. We haven't collaborated as close in a little while, and we were writing
a couple years.
So last week we were writing something, and it just clicked in. It got so easy, and it was so easy to do. Just jump right back in where we left off years ago, and it was cool. We keep coming up with stuff until we're laughing. If we don't laugh, then those jokes don't make it into the book. So it's I know I'm a cartoonist naturally, and I don't know how to write any other way but funny stuff or whatever in my mind. So it's just a natural flow,
Yeah.
What about you, Franco?
With art, it's always been really easy. I think we're of the same mindset when it comes to humor. So when people ask us how we write together, because we both write on our own. We write stuff on our own. I just I have a book for DC coming out called Deadman Tells the Spooky Tales, and it's all
that's amazing.
It looks awesome.
Yeah, and it's all hard. There's not much funny in it. It's all horror. But with art, it tends to be. But we wrote Shazam, Billy Batson and the Magic of Shazam, and that was some funny but more adventure. It just, when we write together, it just clicks. It's people will ask us, well, who wrote that line or who wrote that line, and we honestly we can't remember, because like he'll say something and I'll say, ooh, what about this, and then he goes, oh no, this will be funny, and it just kind of escalates and builds from there, and it's just
it blends all together.
Yeah, it's weird too, because people do tend to. That was a really great line. Did you write that one, or was Kevin? Like, I'm gonna go. That's all me. Kevin's a hack. I'm carrying his dead ass. Like, what do they expect? I'm
it's true.
It's all just, we do it all together. It's a collaborative process. Like, we're not going through the books, right? Like, that's my joke. That's Kevin's joke. That's Kevin's joke. That's my joke. So when we get good feedback
I do that when people come up to get the
I can
book
see that,
signed.
Frank,
I
yeah.
write my name next to each line. That's funny.
Put check marks.
Yeah,
Good
I'm
check
like
marks
this one. No, cross that one out because that one's Art's, and then this
And,
one's mine. This one's
I'll
mine.
get the book to sign it. A year later, I'll say, "Who highlighted all these words?" Oh, someone went through it. Mine.
Yeah.
But when we write, we just we both have sketchbooks. I got here. I'm going to show you our new project. Spoiler.
Nah.
Whoa.
Oh,
There
exclusive.
you go.
That's
I just
awesome.
I
showed
saw
you.
a guy
If
with
you
a
pause it.
with a star on his
I
chest.
saw- I
What was
did
that
too.
all about?
I did.
So we write in sketchbooks, and then usually when we're done, Franco will type up. And here's what he didn't even type up this time. He just sent me this, bam. So I printed it out, and then I'm like, that's fine. And then I'll take both of our notes, and I'll just start thumbnailing little ideas, and that's pretty much how it goes. And that's it. That's exactly what
I'll draw lines. I'm like, write so. Oh, I forgot something, and I draw a line all the way to the top. Remember this thing? And they're
like yeah, he did it right here. He put a line over here, and then all these darker black. Here's my additions. I wrote that, and here's a little thumbnail right here, a little face.
That's wonderful.
Yeah, I'm actually working on that today. I got
you guys write like it's
story, yeah.
Like it's the Talmud. You're just writing in the sidelines and stuff.
Yeah.
Like, I'm gonna put this here
Awesome.
in an arrow, and there we go. Fine, it's good.
Yeah, a lot of publishers lately asked us for scripts because now we both have book agents and we're branching out, and everybody wants a script. And we both refuse to do scripts because I've never wrote a script. It's always in my sketchbook, and I have these little doodles throughout every sketchbook I have. So when I hand in scripts, it's like, let me just draw it for you. Let me just pencil the pages, and you'll be able to read it.
Yeah.
And then you can read the words.
Right.
And then it's easier that way.
Yeah.
And
So here's a script, basically.
Yeah.
That's
wow.
And that's what I'll give. That's what I'll give them. So I don't even give a.
Yeah.
They're like, oh, we need a manuscript. I'm like, yeah, no, it's not happening.
So when your agent and when the book company say, hey, we need a manuscript, and you go, man, I don't think so. Like, what's the next? Like, I want to hear the next line. Like, what's their reply to that? Like, how do they feel?
They always say, okay, that's fine. Then you can do what you want. And now, like, I told my agent a few times, like, I don't really like this having an agent. Well, but wait, you got to do it. Like, all right, it's taking long. I don't want to do all these extra things.
Art, of course, your agent is going to tell you need an agent. You need to talk to someone else who's going to have a different perspective on this thing.
I know. But I figure, like, you got to let the agent do what they're going to do. But in the meantime, I got to do this other stuff. So I just had a conversation with her, and she just like, okay, I get it. Because if you don't let me go and blossom and go and be creative, I feel trapped like in a cage. And I have whatever. Well, I love finishing a book and drawing the book, printing a book, and then selling the book. Like, I don't care about all the rest of the people who are involved. Like when you have a comic publisher, and then you got to wait 3 months, and it goes to distributor, you got to wait another month to print. And I like making a book and then getting them at home. I got a garage full of comics, and then go to the show and sell it. That's what I like. And that's what I liked about the digital Comixology. I could finish it, and then I could upload it. It's up there,
it's
a few
done.
weeks, and it's done. I just got to wait. And I was real satisfied with that. But now we're going back to like old school retro. I hate saying old school. There's no other term though. Like old timey.
Old timey works with that hat.
Publishing.
Yeah.
With that hat, old timey works.
Yeah,
Ragtime also works. Yeah.
Like, I'm so used to the way we broke in was like early 90s. I broke in 91, 92, and I just started finding printers and making books and getting them in my house and bringing the books to the shows, and that's what we're doing again. So I'm kind of
awesome.
and went full circle. And the whole spectacle of having a big publisher and working for Warner Brothers. I worked for Warner Brothers, for Disney, for Dark Horse, and I feel like I've done that. That's cool, but I want to do my own stuff. Like, and if Disney says, "Hey, we'll publish that," I'm like, nah, I want to do it myself. It's kind of like that's where I am right now in my mind.
Cool.
And like, it's kind of different. It's kind of freeing. It's I don't know. But I still do stuff for Warner and DC and stuff.
Yeah, I was gonna say I like both. I can see the
both is
appeal
cool.
of doing the independent stuff the way we used to do it, and we still do that every once in a while.
Yeah.
But working on some of these other books and getting these high profile, characters and stuff like that, I kind of, brings me back to when I was a kid reading this stuff, and
Mhm.
again, as a Deadman example, working on Deadman, I'm like, I can't believe I'm working on Deadman. This is like the coolest thing ever.
Well,
Yeah.
that's one
Yes.
of the things I was going to say. You guys are probably one of the few DC creators that have basically written and drawn every DC character
Yeah.
there is imaginable.
Yeah, I can't believe it. Like, still, when I get an email that they want me to draw Superman, I still freak out. So, like, oh my God, Superman and Superman, Batman, but I drew like, we were at a party, not a party, we were at some DC thing. They used to have writing seminars, like before New York Comic Con. We get invited to this auditorium style seating, and we listened to a creator talk. Like Brian Michael Bendis was there, Jim Lee was there. They were Grant Morrison, and they were talking to all of the writers and employees at DC Comics. So we went to this thing, a writer seminar, and then we took a break to have hors d'oeuvres and sandwiches and refreshments. And Neil Adams was sitting, looking at me, and I was standing by one of those tall lounge tables, having my coffee. And he's looking at me. He says, "Why are you here?" I'm like, "Well, I draw the comics for kids' books for DC Comics." "Oh yeah?" I'm like, "Yep." "Which characters you work on?" I said, "All of them." He goes, "Oh yeah?" I'm like, "Yeah." He goes, "Superman?" "Yes, sir." "Did you work on Batman?" "Yes, sir." "How about Wonder Woman?" "Yes, sir." "Flash?" "Yep." "Green Lantern?" I said, "Which one?" And he, Hal Jordan? "Yep." "John Stewart?" "Yes." And he went, And what else? I'm like, "And all their pets." And he went, "Oh, okay." And he toasted me. He's like, "Cheers, welcome." So like I had to prove to him that why I was there. I was like, I probably drew like me, you, and George Perez probably are competing. Who drew more?
Yeah.
George, of course, we know George Perez wins, but but I was like, but it was kind of cool. I felt like accepted finally. Yeah.
That's like, yeah, because I mean, you guys have, there are books just of the DC superhero pets. Like my kids have them upstairs, like just books and books and books of animals and starfish.
That's all Artie. Yeah.
Yeah, I knew I drew 320 DC characters. So if there's more than that I made, then they mustn't be in that book. But I know that they gave me a list one time of all these characters, and a lot of the characters in the book, they said, well, this character needs a pet, but we don't have it, so create it. So I created a lot of those pets, but then DC Comics would give them a name. And so I always suggest names, but like, man, that name's too good. So I stopped giving them names. So they would end up changing my names a lot anyway. And then there was a few rejected ideas that I had that
really
after the book came out. Well, I rejected them. I self-rejected.
Okay.
So I did some designs, and then when the book came out, and I brought my sketchbook and the designs with me, and I said, here's what Nightwing's pet was supposed to be. And they're like, wow, he looks cool. Like, how come you didn't send us that? And I said, because I wanted it. I liked it. So I kept it. And they're like, hey, so I would change them. Instead of his bat, he's a monkey. I made him a monkey. Or there was several pets like that I would create. And I thought they were too cool. So I saved them for myself.
I love that you're holding out on DC Comics. Like, screw you guys. This one's mine.
This is too cool for you.
I want this one.
You guys aren't getting Nightwing's monkey. That's me. That's mine.
That's a whole nother book too. Nightwing's monkey.
Nightwing's monkey.
But you guys started out with like Action Cat and all that stuff too. So why not bring it all back into your All Yeah universe?
Yeah, we definitely have an All Yeah universe. Yeah.
And you guys have quite like a learning tree that people have sat under, because when you get those, because I have. Like when I'm saying my daughter, when she was reading All Yeah comics, she read all the stuff. And cool. You have people that are pretty big names now in all ages comics that were kind of under your learning tree, right? Like Dave Scheidt and Scoot and all these other cats that just kind of worked under your banner. So you guys are also creating the next generation of all age talent.
Yeah, well, if you pay us enough money, we'll let you work on the book.
Yeah. Dude, I would love to.
We'd love to pay you a bunch of money.
I thought that's how comics work anyway. I give people money that I get a book. Like, that's just how it works.
We thought it was just more hush hush than that.
All Yeah comics was just a lot of fun to do. We talked about the stores and the mascots of the stores and did the books solely for the stores. And when we reached out to other people to work on this, people like Scoot and Dave Scheidt, came on board. But what really kind of blew our minds was getting calls from people like Brad Meltzer and
Judd Winnick.
Judd Winnick and
Yeah.
stuff like that,
Diana-
saying that,
Diana
hey,
Schultz.
we'd like to work on him. And we're like, really? Yeah. It just blows my mind that I got to draw a story that Brad Meltzer wrote.
Yeah.
It's
Awesome.
it's just freaky. I think it's just the appeal of the characters and the fun that we want to have, that we just kind of put it out there that kind of attracts these people.
We got so overwhelmed with submissions, and I still have some stories that we haven't published because we need to keep going. I'm setting up issue 15 right now. I'm actually drawing pages for it, so that'll be our next one. We went 1 through 12, but then we did some more, so we're up to number 15 right now. But people are still sending me things, and it's not an open call right now because don't overwhelm me, because I will. But when people find out, it was 2012. We were doing a Kickstarter and to make these books, and we just started talking to our friends and saying, hey, if you want to be part or you got a little story to send, we'll put it in the book. We need content. So all the guys we know, it's amazing how many cartoonists we know, and we just kept getting stuff, and everything was funny, and everything was people and other creators' own take on Action Cat. And my whole idea was like, okay, Action Cat is a superhero, but we don't know what his origin is, and so don't give us an origin, just give us an adventure. It's kind of like when the transition from Ditko Spider-Man to Bermuda Spider-Man and then Ross Andrew and all these guys who collaborate, that's kind of like, it still builds Spider-Man. He's Peter Parker and he's Spider-Man and Aunt May, but you just build on that, and that's kind of what the feeling we wanted to do. Like, let's see what everyone could do with Action Cat. What are they thinking about? What does he do? So he took off, and he was one of the first characters that we've ever worked on who had a life of his own before there was even a comic. Because all we had him on the Oh Yeah Comics logo, and I painted him in the store on the wall, and people wanted Action Cat stuff, and it was kind of cool. It just took off, and like Action Cat became Action Cat without us even doing anything. And then we're like, we should write awesome. Stories. Yeah, it's kind of cool.
That's a groundswell of support just from your cool idea. Like, they just saw the character and they went, wow, this is awesome. I want to be a part of it. And do you think, like, when you were mentioning like Judd Winnick and Brad Meltzer and all these guys, like they came to you because there is something that is so pure about writing all ages comics? Because my first book that I ever had was an all ages book that I wrote with my daughter. She and I kind of collaborated as like a 4-year-old, like we kick story ideas around. But just the idea of like when someone tells you this is my kid's first comic book, like that's a feeling that that it's so hard to replicate from somebody else who just comes to a show and goes, oh, this looks cool. But like the attachment and like the fact that you're building hopefully someone's long and productive reading life. Do you think that has anything to do with it? Like just the pureness of the relationship with kids and comics? Like it's just a natural thing, right?
Every book is somebody's first comic. So we have to make the comic knowing that what if they never read the ones that came before? So they have to be, even with Tiny Titans, every story was self-contained, and almost everything we do is like that. And I always hate having a story end and it says to be continued and never be able to finish that second part. Like I have like 2 or 3 books right now like that. I'm like, oh, why did I do that to myself? Because that pressure is always there. That lingering deadline is still there. And like, it's been 2 years and like, wow, why do I even bother now? People don't even care now. But there's always that kid who reads books that we still, that we made 20 years ago, but we still have copies. We're selling them at shows. People are still buying them. So a lot of our stories they call it evergreen, like Dora the Explorer. There's always a new 4-year-old waiting to show up.
No, totally.
So
it's like that's Thomas where the Train, man.
You know? He's been around for 30 years, but he's still 5 years old. Yeah. So that's kind of how our books are. There's always a new kid, and our books are to introduce kids into reading and into comics. So if they see Batman and Superman and Dark Side and Robin and Beast Boy in our books, and then I realize, when they finally graduate to the real DC universe, they're going to see that Darkseid is a bad guy, and he's no longer the lunch lady or the
Yeah.
janitor or whoever
Yeah.
he was. Yeah.
It's a
So it's
surprise
kinda
he's not in an apron.
Yeah.
I thought he served lunch. Why is he killing people?
Yeah, he's in that Zack Snyder movie, that the Snyder cut. He's swinging an axe and stuff. Yeah.
Now, is there a character from either Marvel or DC or even Star Wars that you guys haven't got to draw yet that you really want to draw, both of you?
Yeah, I want to do the Hulking thing, Hulk versus thing.
Spider-Man.
Nice.
Always,
Spider-Man, yeah.
You guys haven't done Spider-Man yet?
No,
We've never done anything. We've never done anything Marvel. We were asked once, but we were under exclusive contract for DC at the time, so we were offered Marvel work, but I
always get a lot of talking. Like I call it convention muscles when people just say stuff at conventions and they say, "Yeah, we'll do that right away." Exchange cards, and then nothing happens. So I don't know. Things that happens a lot though.
So wait a minute. So that happens to you guys, like Eisner winner, superstar comic creators, famous cartoonists. That happens to you too?
All the time. Yeah.
That sucks.
Every San Diego, every big show, every New York Comic Con, every San Diego. Yeah. So I don't get excited as that's kind of like where I'm more excited about indie stuff, our own creations. Well, this stuff excites me, but I know that when DC emails, I know it's real. Like, oh, cool, we got another job. So, but it's all these other companies. It's cool when it happens though. Like it happens often too, because I got to do all the Hasbro guys recently, or a few years ago with Transformers, G.I. Joe, and
that's cool.
Micronauts, and like stuff like that happens. And I get once in a while I get covers to do like Red Sonja. We did Battlestar Galactica, so we always get to do stuff. So I always lose track of what was going on. And
Franco, I'm sorry. Go ahead.
Oh no. But I was gonna say but there's a lot of times we try out for stuff too and don't get stuff like Scooby Doo or Simpsons or Family Guy, stuff like that. So yeah, it's weird. Like
it's amazing.
So
it happens.
It happens. Like, yeah, our stuff. Yeah, I don't want to get into it, but we got a lot of. Still get rejection letters, so that's the thing.
That's ridiculous. That's crazy.
Yeah, it's weird.
We thought that would stop one day. See, that was the thing. Now we know.
Never stops.
Never stops.
No,
I want to know, Franco, how did you land this Deadman gig? Because I saw that coming out, and you said it's more of a horror thing, and I was like, wow, that sounds like a lot of fun. Like, how did that come to pass?
We were talking to DC about a bunch of different projects, and it was just something that I had mentioned to our editor at the time, Michelle Wells, because she was looking for different books for the young readers line, and I had this idea about because I've always loved horror stuff, and I said, what you don't have in this kids line, because they were doing all these different stories and everything. I said, what you don't have is you don't have anything horror related for kids. And my idea was to take Deadman and introduce all these scary stories, kind of like scary stories to tell in the dark.
That's cool.
along those lines.
Yeah.
And she asked me what it would be like, and I had all these artists that were in mind, and I specifically had Sarah Richard in mind as the artist for the Deadman parts of the book, because we had worked on the Ghosty Owl and a couple other things that we tried to get off the ground as well. But I knew I wanted her, and I put the pitch together and I showed Michelle, and they loved it. So they wanted to put the book out. So been working on it for a couple of years, and we have another project too that we've been working on that hasn't been released yet or announced yet, but that's hopefully in the next year or so.
That's cool.
We'll see that come out as well.
Yeah, that's the weird thing about the book market versus comic book market is comics, like everyone knows what you're working on like at least 6 months before it comes out. But now with the book market, like it could be 2 to 4 years before your book comes out. So I got to have a book done. And it's like, I don't even know when it's coming out anymore. Like I finished several books I have. I'm still waiting for them to hit.
Yeah.
Like, I don't know where they're at.
Yeah, there's a bunch of books, because Deadman comes out in September of this year. And then I have Faye and the Moon, which comes out from Little B. Comes out next March. And I finished that like a year ago.
Jeez Louise.
So,
So in the meantime, are you guys just doing your own thing? Like while you wait for the book market to kind of catch up, is this where the indie stuff comes back in, where you guys are just doing all comic stuff again?
Kind of, yeah. I'm still working with other books too. Like Drew and Jot #2 comes out, I think, next year in 2023.
Okay.
And Gilbert #4 should be out any month now. And then Big Alien Moon Crush should be out this year. So those are my 3 books coming out, but I'm working on book pitches and then a lot of a few DC projects. I'm still working on things. And then I just got some not a side. Yeah, I guess another client, but it's not comics. And I'm kind of excited. It's more in the, I don't even want to say where it is because you might figure it out. If you know me, you'll figure it out. But, but it's kind of cool. Like I'm getting a few other things, but somehow like a lot of the deadlines went away from me. And so, yeah, that's where I get to put in my own create our own stuff, printing our own books and making our own comics for our stores. So awesome. It never went away, but it's more opportunity now because, man, at one point I was working on 12 books.
Oh my gosh.
Now I'm down to like 5.
Okay,
so
well, that sounds nice.
Yeah, it's a little more comfortable and they're not as hurry up and do it, because the deadlines are so far away now with the book market. It's just strange. And I got a few things, just stuff like meetings and pitches and phone calls and stuff like that. I'm kind of in the middle of all that right now with more stuff. So hopefully I'll get something will stick, something will land.
And you've mentioned it's silly of me to, because you've mentioned it on 3 occasions, and me try to be a professional interviewer. You guys also have a comic book store, yes? Like you own a bunch of comic shops right now. Yeah. Now you guys have Comics in Stokey. Stokey? I'm not pronouncing Skokie. Okay. And then there are 2 other shops, correct? Are those with you guys, or are they just taking the banner, if you will?
Yeah.
Yeah, they're us. One in New York, Harrison, New York.
Okay.
And then one in Muncie, Indiana. So they're all us. Yeah.
That's cool. I've been to the shop in Muncie, Indiana several times. I love Dr. Blanc. Like she's the best.
Christy's awesome.
She's so wonderful. Like she's so fantastic. So how did you guys get into the comic shop owning business?
Because we've always wanted to be, and people told us we couldn't. So we're like, what? Years ago, I owned a comic shop, and it lasted almost a full year.
Congratulations!
It went down in flames, like epic flames. It was like the flames were real high. Not literally, but in the sense that like it just crashed and burned. But I learned a lot of lessons from that, and I always said, Art and I would always have these conversations, and I would say, it'd be cool if, one day, I know how to do it this time, and it wouldn't be cool if we can own a comic shop, and then our friend Mark Hammond, we affectionately call him Brother Bear.
Brother Bear, yeah.
He was a longtime manager of a store down in Florida, and I think he was talking to Art one day, and he was real despondent about, where he was in life and what he wanted to do. And
he was frustrated. He couldn't do things. He couldn't. Yeah. I suggested this to the boss. He keeps doing this. And I'm like, I wish I could just do what I want in this comic shop. I'm like, okay.
Yeah. Art's like, Mark was being real, impassioned with his, with what was going on in his life. And Art just cut him off and said, hey, I got to go. I'll talk to you later. And he hangs up. And then 2 seconds later, Mark gets a call from me. So I hear you're leaving. Because
I called you. Yeah, I hung up with Brother Bear to call Franco. Yeah.
So I said, Art and I have this idea. Well, how would you like to go into business with us and open up a comic shop? Because
that's awesome.
Yeah, the reality is Art and I knew that we couldn't be there day to day.
After talking to Brother Bear, it sounded like wow, it sounds like you want your own comic shop too. You could do whatever you want with it. And he went, yeah. I'm like, all right, hold on a minute. I called Franco, talked to Franco, and then Franco calls Brother Bear, and then Brother Bear called me back, and he goes, hey Art. I'm like, yeah. He goes, I'm moving to Chicago. Like, what? He goes, yeah, we're gonna open up a comic shop, me, you, and Franco. I'm like, oh, cool, okay. And then a few weeks later, there's doorbell rings, ding ding, and their own answer door. It's Brother Bear. And he goes, come on, let's go drive around, look for a spot. And I'm like, all right. So we drove around Chicago and we drove to Skokie, which is a north side suburb of Chicago, which I've never been to. I only heard it. I'm a South Side guy. And we found Skokie and we were looking for a small town feel that looks like the Back to the Future Times Square there. That's what I wanted. I was looking for something like that. And that's what I had in my mind. And Skokie felt like that. And so we moved there. And until this day, people in Skokie still think I'm from there. And I live an hour away from Skokie, so when I go, it takes me an hour.
People think I'm from there, and I live in New York. I've never lived in Chicago.
And so it's kind of weird that 3 guys who've never been in Skokie open a store in Skokie, and our brother bear's from Florida. It was kind of cool, and we've been there for it'll be 10 years in May or April or May.
That's awesome.
That's awesome. Yeah.
I mean, I think every comic book fan. I know I thought to myself, I'd love to open a comic shop and do what I want with it. Yeah. But like you guys are living the dream. That's awesome.
Yeah. It's kind of weird. It's kind of cool. It doesn't feel real, but the question is always, I get a lot of people say, why do you want to own a shop? I'm like, cause it's cool. It's just fun. Yeah. Like I love going there and drawing and hanging out and everyone says, oh, okay. Like it's just fun. We have employees, which is weird. And not that we have employees, but we're able to pay them. That's the weird part. Like, wow, you guys are earning a living. So it's cool. And we have then we decided, Brother Bear said, I want to move to New York because it'd be close to where open up a shop near Franco. And so we can each have our shop near us. Mm-hmm. And then somehow the Indiana store happened, like probably over dinner that happened. And just stuff like that happens. So a lot of stuff that we do happens organically. It grows. We don't really have a plan to let's do this and follow this business strategy. We just kind of go with it.
Yeah. In all honesty, a lot of the stuff happens because people tell us we can't do that. You can't open a comic shop.
Yeah.
So I'm like, yeah, we can, and then we do.
You're too cartoony for this industry.
Yeah. It's like those people are your little daughter, and they tell us we can't do it. So we're like, what? Spite? We're gonna spite you?
Yeah, it's like your daughter. Yeah.
I mean, I love it. I love showing people up. Like, yeah, that's awesome. My wife, because when I tell my wife, like, I want to open a comic shop, she says to me, "We got to have a business plan," and she knows that's my kryptonite because I'm not gonna write a business plan, but I'll just tell her. Baltazar and Franco don't have a business plan. They just did it out of spite.
I can guarantee you we had no business plan whatsoever.
But we plan on planning a business. That's weird.
Is it really cool to order your own books through Diamond? That's the question.
Yeah, we do that all the time. Yeah. Every month.
We would too. That's why I asked.
Yeah. You get them at half price.
Yeah, right?
Yeah.
That's the real secret why we opened up the shop. Yeah. We get our own books at half price. Woohoo!
Yeah, we always have books for conventions. Yep.
Yeah.
That's amazing.
That's awesome. You guys are wonderful, wonderful human beings.
I'm frozen right now.
I know your video is frozen.
I like how you're frozen there.
Yeah, it's a good look. Yeah.
It's got my good side. Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, you're a very handsome fellow. You knew like this already.
George Clooney-esque, right?
Yes, very.
Yeah, because when Kevin told me he met you guys at Baltimore, he's like, "Wow, Art Baltazar looks just like George Clooney," and I can't not see it. I mean, it's exactly right.
No, you could tell. Yeah.
Yeah. So Franco, so you've got the Deadman book coming out soon. You said that's in September, correct?
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
All right, and then Baltazar, Mr. Baltazar, you got anything you got coming out soon that you want to promote or talk about or anything? Because we've been on for a while. I don't want to keep you guys too long.
Yeah, I said Gilbert #4 should be out any month now. I thought it was January, but we're already going into April now. I don't know what it is, but we're the book should be out any month, and then Drew and Jot #2, I think is next January, and Big Alien Moon Crush is
go ahead.
July maybe. But I got several Super Pet books that are hitting right now.
Oh, that's cool.
I'm still making Super Pets, and I just finished a whole batch of them last October, so they should all start coming out now.
I
did a whole bunch. I did like 10 new ones or something.
That's crazy.
Yeah. Right in time for the movie.
Yeah, I forgot I got a book called Peach and the Isle of Monsters coming out in the next couple of months too. I forgot.
Oh, that's awesome.
All right, so you guys are the busiest dudes in comics, basically. Not bad for a bunch of guys doing books for kids, right?
Yeah, right.
Yeah.
And people said, like, when I first showed my portfolio in 1992, every publisher said I was too cartoony for comics. Like, you're too cartoony. You'll never make it. I'm like, man. So it's kind of cool. You just got to go forward, man.
Yeah.
Let them tell you whatever they want to tell you, and then only keep the good stuff. You know?
And this is only my moonlighting gig too.
Yeah.
So you got so Franco, you have like a real like 9 to 5?
Yeah, I'm a high school art teacher.
That's amazing.
Well, that's awesome.
Okay, so
I don't know about awesome last couple of years.
no, I could see that. I could see that being in education with the pandemic and stuff. But I mean, that's got to be very cool. I mean, if I'm an art student, I'm listening to what you're saying because I mean, you're doing it. Do you just leave your Eisners in your classroom? Like, you don't think I'm great? Look at that kid.
Yeah, they're right on my computer. So when they look at me, they're it's right there. But yeah, it's all. I'm real cool until like I give them zeros for not handing in their stuff, and then I'm a jerk. You know, but what are you gonna do?
You gotta do. I mean, you gotta turn the work in, right?
Yep. Be an artist, damn it. Yeah.
Yeah, that's cool, man. So you guys this has been a lot of fun. We really appreciate you taking time out of your week to come on and talk to us on our silly podcast.
We were looking forward to it forever.
Yeah, I really have been looking forward to this forever. And like I said, Franco, I think I've met you specifically several times at not at Baltimore, but at Cincinnati. And I just try to get out of there as quickly as I can because I am going to burst into tears when I speak to you. Because just of the impact that you've had on my life with my daughter and our relationship. It's awesome.
Thanks.
So
well, the next time I see you in Cincy or Baltimore, we'll cry it out together.
We'll share a tear. We'll embrace like men. And talk about our kids.
I love it, dude. That's wonderful. You guys are so
It'd
cool.
be very touching.
Any social media or websites or anything you guys want to throw out there before we let you go?
I'm Franco on everything. So
you can find me. Go to artbaltazar.com is the best way.
There you go.
Yeah,
all right. Well, thank you guys so much. We really appreciate you guys coming on.
Yeah.
Thanks for having us. Appreciate it.
You guys are awesome.
You guys are welcome anytime.
Oh, yeah. Hopefully my camera will work next time. I don't know what happened.
We got most of you.
You were too handsome.
Here's my impression of Art Baltazar.
That's right.
You need a fun hat, though. You got to put on a fun hat.
And a beard. They need a beard.
Yeah. Thanks, guys.
You guys are awesome.
You guys are great.
See you later. Okay, bye-bye.